Hi, I'm Lenora. I'm the creator of The Bitchy Bookkeeper, and I have a cold, so please don't mind my voice in this episode. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Isabel, founder and firebrand of the Uprising Spark.
Hi, I'm Kristen Tetzi, author of The Age of the Child, and we are the three founding non-mothers of Childfree Girls. Today, we have a guest. His name is Michael Zadoorian, and he's the author of 4 novels. The latest is The Narcissism of Small Differences, which is the one we'll be talking about today. Others are Beautiful Music, The Leisure Seeker, which was made into a movie that I just saw 2 days ago. It made me cry. I thought it was great. And Second Hand, and a short story collection, The Lost Tiki Palaces of Detroit. Michael is here today because in The Narcissism of Small Differences, he has a child-free couple as the center, the core of the story. But as for what the rest of the book is about, I like it when authors tell us what their books are about. So Michael, introduce yourself and your book in whatever way you would like.
Okay, hi, I'm Michael Zadoorian here just outside of Detroit, Michigan. And as you said, my book is The Narcissism of Small Differences. I should be holding up a copy now, and I'm not prepared. But it is, at the heart of it, is the story of a couple, Joe and Anna. And yeah, they're totally child-free. They're not married. They've kind of been together for a long time, I think about 15 years as the book begins. And it's sort of a story of them getting to, as they approach their 40s, they start to kind of question the choices they've made in their life. Not the child-free choice. They're totally on board with that, and but other matters. And so in a lot of ways, the book is about like compromise and the things we do maybe to just sort of survive in the everyday world, the compromises we make sort of ethically with work or morally with our own actions, and really just the stuff we do just to survive everyday life too, and kind of about the people we become when those compromises, sort of take over and go a little bit beyond where they should be, maybe. But it's a funny book. I wanted to write a funny book about, like a couple, and it was also really important to me to have them be a sort of just like my wife and I, really adamantly child-free. And it felt important to represent that in the book too, and to represent how the world sort of perceives child-free people, and often the crap we have to put up with. And so it was, I wanted it to be funny, but I also wanted it to be hopefully thought-provoking, and to just have an unmarried, child-free couple at the heart of a book, because it doesn't happen that often, at least in the books I've read, or it doesn't pop up that much in popular culture, really. It's really the story of Joe and Anna and the group of friends, the kind of the sort of the family they build around them and themselves. And that's another thing what the book is about too, those kind of families we create when we don't create them the traditional way, I think. So yeah, so that's pretty much what the book is about. I think my publisher liked the idea of a child-free novel, and I later found out that one of the editors who ultimately wound up making the final decision on whether or not to accept the book, she herself was happily child-free, and she liked that about the book. That was one of the things that attracted her. Honestly, I just learned that like a month ago, and the book was accepted 2 years ago, and it was like, oh, okay. So it was nice to hear that Kashuk is a big sort of independent publisher, but still adamantly independent, and so I think it was important to them to publish a book that had this particular perspective to it, and that was really nice to just find out.
And we need more child-free books anyway. Like, the child-free community is starving for content that's relevant to us anyway, right?
I'm finding that out, yes.
What was it that made when writing that book, what was it that made you decide it was time to have a child-free couple?
Honestly, I can't really say I did it consciously. I mean, I did when I was writing it, it was like, oh, yeah, okay, I want to do this. I mean, that wasn't where I started when, I sat down to write the book. I mean, I hardly ever know what the hell I'm doing when I start off to write a book anyway. It's always just pretty much flying by the seat of my pants. But once I think Joe and Anna established themselves as this unmarried, child-free couple, it was just like, oh yeah, this is definitely what I want to write. Well, once I started writing it, it all felt very natural, and I think it was also a chance to kind of write about those things that we wind up as a my wife and I, at least as a child-free couple, the things people say to us, the dumb things. I believe the what the expression in the child-free world, the bingos, I guess, oh, you'll regret it someday, you'll change your mind, who's going to take care of you when you get older? And it felt, the deeper I got into the book, the more it felt important to put that kind of stuff in, if not to just sort of show the travails of this particular life choice, but also I think there's something kind of funny about the dumb things people say too, because a lot of it makes no sense whatsoever.
It's nice to see it, like, from a child-free perspective. It's really nice to see that in print, just reading the story, because I read a lot of books and it's rarely a character. It's only since I've started talking about being child-free myself that I've come across books that feature child-free characters or memoirs. So it's nice when you're reading through and it's, not pregnancy announcements, it's the conversation of, we don't want kids. And that is, as a child-free reader, it's really nice to see that. After I read the book, I was scrolling through comments just to see what people, like reviews, I guess, and not looking for anything specific, but I was curious if the actual child-free conversation would make its way into these comments, because I assume that most of the people who have read or reviewed the book are parents or are thinking about becoming parents. So I never saw anything specific. First of all, when you were talking about this book or telling people about this book, did anyone bring up the child-free factor specifically from a point of view where they weren't child-free themselves, but they questioned you about it? Or was that ever, I don't know if people pick up on that the way we do, did that ever come up?
No, it actually didn't, but I mean, it's really funny you bring up those reviews too, because I mean, one thing I learned afterwards, when a few people, when you get a book out, Amazon tries to encourage reviews and such, and so they wind up putting the book into the hands of people that, may not necessarily like this type of book, but they get it free, and so they're kind of obligated to review it. And there are some people that really hated the book, and I mean, it was like, I mean, at a certain point, no one likes to read super negative things about yourself or your work or whatever, but after a while, again, it became kind of funny. And I started to notice a particular pattern. There were people that they seemed really just irked by the whole thing. And I kind of, and maybe I'm wrong, but I kind of got the feeling that maybe that was related to the child-free aspect of the book. I have nothing to base that on, other than people just like, oh, these people, they're writing, these people just gave me a pain. And they wind up, one of the things that happens in the book is that Joe and Anna talk about how people think they're selfish and self-centered and shallow because they don't have kids and they're not interested in it. And then I would read the reviews, and the people would say, these characters are selfish and shallow and self-absorbed. And it was like, I wonder what brought all this on, So it was kind of funny. So I definitely think some people reacted to these characters in the same way they react to child-free people in real life, which you're automatically a suspect of some sort. and so I must dislike you, or I have to figure out some way you're wrong and I'm right, and so it's definitely been interesting in that regard.
Is it okay if I ask you how old you are?
Yes, I'm 63 years old.
Okay, so you're
Oh.
63.
I would not
And
agree
you
with
grew
that
up-
at all. Sorry.
Well, that is
Surprising.
okay. That's okay. Yes, so it's
Well, the reason I ask is because you spent pretty much your whole life in Michigan, right?
exactly Detroit area.
Okay. So you're living in the Midwest where traditional family is pretty prevalent and enforced.
Almost by
like,
law.
yeah. What was it like for you when you were younger, like pre-marriage, or let's just say like your late 20s, early 30s? Did you get a lot of pressure to get married, make babies? And then once you did get married, was there pressure to make babies, or did you get married a little bit older? So it was like, well, that ship sailed.
No, got married. I've been married for quite a while, and so my wife and I got married when I was 26, and
Oh.
so yeah. But I mean, we had certainly had the talk long before that. We, about because it's a good thing to have. It's again, it's
So
not
like, what
something
about
you
your
can really
parents?
compromise on. I think I was very fortunate in that my parents were, just big advocates of like, you're an adult, do whatever you want. I mean, I can think of maybe one occasion where my mother was just sort of like, are you guys ever thinking of having kids? And I was like, no, Mom, we're not planning on it. It's just, and just, okay, and so there was never that. It was mostly that sort of pressure mostly came from aunts and uncles and cousins and married friends or people who were just having kids. And in contrast to that conversation I was talking about four men in their 30s, I remember though getting together with a couple of not super close friends, but friends, and when we were in our mid 20s, and they already had a couple of kids each, and they pretty much berated me about the like, what are you waiting for? Come on! And it was just sort of like, oh, silent eye roll and change the subject, and certainly whatever I went through, my wife went through it times 100, just because anytime there was any sort of holiday get together or whatever, there'd always be like some sort of like, when's Rita gonna get pregnant? Blah, sorry, that's like annoying relative voice. So it was, yeah, there was definitely that kind of, dumb kind of, no one thinks what they're doing is out of line, or everyone thinks it's their business, and so that it was there most definitely, but happily not so much for my parents, and I think maybe my grandmother was like, I'm sure we were probably married 6 months, and my grandmother was giving my mom grief about, when's Mike and Rita gonna have a baby? And my mom, to her credit, I never heard any of that from my grandma. She was just like, they'll do what they're gonna do, Ma. And then she did not pass it along to me, which I think happens a lot too, where it'll be your grandmother's really wondering when you two are gonna, and it's like, oh, you're doing that asshole thing too then. So you're just moving along under the guise of someone else's question, so happily my parents never did that.
Now, circling back to the comment that you made about the visceral reactions, from the comments from people reading your books. And I actually think that's a good thing. If you can make them feel, even if it's not a good feeling, it means that you're a good writer, right?
I hope so.
But I was wondering, because you saw it in the comments regarding this book, they are selfish, they are self-absorbed, blah blah blah. This is the kind of comments that we get as childhood people on a daily basis, mostly in my case from people that I don't know. It's not even my family. It's like people, strangers, basically. So I was wondering, in your specific case, I'm sure you've gotten bingoed by strangers as well. How do you respond to those bingos?
Of course, after you get to, you would know this, but after you get to a certain age, happily, that just ends because, you're all, both of you are that's not going to happen. No matter what age you are, if you're an adult, someone's going to ask you regularly, do you have kids? And,
Or grandkids after a certain age.
yeah, or grandkids or anything like that. Yes, no matter what. And I think for a lot of people, it's just a way in, a conversational, it's like talking about the weather, I think. But even still, nowadays, somebody will be like, so do you guys have kids? And it's like, nope. I always just try to be, I'm always like just super cheery about it. And I'm like, no, and just to kind of like give off as many sort of signals like, nope. And it's like, do you want to continue this conversation? And generally they don't. They seem to get the message. But I did get annoyed with someone once. They were so persistent about it. I just lied to them and I just said, I acted all, this is horrible. I just acted really sad. And I said that I had a low sperm count. And that shut them up so fast, man. That just shut that conversation down so fast that I felt horrible for doing it. But it was quite effective.
Well, Michael, we have to start getting ready to go. I really want to thank you for coming and for talking about your book and all of your child-free experiences. And before, is there anything you want to add about the book, or is there anything you really want people to know about it that we didn't cover, or is there something you really, really wish we would have asked you that we didn't?
I can give you a discount code if people want, your listeners want to. They just have to put in, you have to buy it through Akashic Books, but if you put in Zadoorian 30, all caps and one word, they'll get a 30% discount. So
fantastic.
That's a nice
Sounds
thing.
good.
And they can get more information at my website, michaelzadoorian.com, and my name. It's the traditional spelling of Zadoorian. Zadoorian. Well, thank you so much for having me on, and it was really fun.
Yes, it was.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye.
See ya.
You too.
Bye.
The question is one I think Michael might appreciate because it comes from the synopsis of his book. One of the questions within the synopsis is, does not having children make you one yourself? In the book, there's a little bit more context with that. It's, does it make you less mature? Does it make you less grown up? Does it mean you're shirking responsibility? I mean, this character is still wearing, sneakers and Doc Martens or stuff that you might wear when you're 20. So what do you think of that question, and what's your answer? And that is it for this episode. We hope you had a fantastic time, and we hope you will check out his book. The links are somewhere on this screen. And he also gave them to you. You can email us your answer to the question or anything else you want to say at childfreegirls@gmail.com, which is open 24/7.
You can also find us all over social media. We are at Childfree Girls on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram, and even on Pinterest. Our website is childfreegirls.com, and we have our own book behind me. I just got that ordered today. We are on Amazon. Childfree Girls, Comfort Food for Thought, available in paperback and on Kindle. So go to Amazon, wherever you are in the world, they'll ship it to you.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. No, you say bye.
No, you say bye.
Oh my God, I'm leaving.
You leave first.
I'm going.
Bye.
Bye.